What's going on, guys? I know it's been a minute since I've been doing uploads. I've been extremely busy at the shop. If you guys follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you know that I've been posting a lot of stuff on there lately about, you know, the cars I've been tuning and be working on the Blueberry, what's been going on with that. But I haven't really been making videos because it's hard for me to make videos and edit them, because I pretty much work like 18-hour days at the shop, and if I'm not working at the shop, I work some like erratic ass hours because my wife is a trainer manager at her job, and most times she has to do like 5 closing shifts within the 2 weeks span. So I have to come to work for like 5 to 6 hours, and then I have to leave. I have to go pick out something and I have to stay with him. So I know I used to upload a lot, and then I stopped uploading a lot. So trying to pick it back up, trying to find the time to start doing more videos and upload stuff. I'm gonna just pretty much show you guys what my workload is right now at the shop for myself. I have one car inside the shop. I have another Civic that's over there that I'm about to tune today. I have this Corvette, which I have to do a motor swap on. This Accord, which is technically going to get swapped out for another car because this chassis is trash. I have to do the LS Swap G35. I have to wire this CTSV for Pro Charge and a fuel system setup. I have to do a motor swap in this G35. I have to figure out why the hell this fucking Prelude doesn't run. I have to do head gaskets on this S10 because it came back. Well, before it left, it had a head gasket issue uncaused by me. The new owner bought the truck, really didn't know a lot about it, but it always had this overheating issue that we could never figure out. So I leaked it down, and come to find out, it's got a head gasket. So we're gonna change the head gasket on that. We're gonna put it back on the dyno. We're gonna get the heads pressure test and make sure they aren't cracked, because they are ported. The bottom end is supposed to be built, so we're gonna pull the heads off of it, like I said, and we're gonna go over everything on the car. We're gonna put a strange brake booster delete kit on there with the manual master cylinder on there, and I'm possibly gonna talk him into changing this radiator and fan, because I believe that's also an issue too. And then we have the other all-wheel drive car, which we are doing some upgrades to it too also. So right now it currently has a VS Racing 6973 on it, but this motor is small and it's not flowing this turbo very well. It will not light it at all. So we're gonna change it out to the turbo that I have on my car, which is what we're gonna talk about also in this video. And I'm gonna change the chassis harness out on it, because whoever the hell had the car before completely butchered the wire harness, and it's a wiring nightmare and a future electrical fire for this car. So I want to give it back to him in the same condition that I would drive a car, and I would never drive anything with wiring like that. So we're gonna talk about it in another video too. So let me get in here, show y'all the progress on the Blueberry, and what we've upgraded, what we've changed, and all that shit. All right, since the last time you've seen the car, it had a different intake manifold on there, different radiator, and different turbo. Since then, and different motor. Since then, I made a shit ton of changes. Obviously, as you can tell, it's got a sheet metal intake manifold on it now, with the same size throttle body that was on it before. It's got a thicker core, newer radiator that works very well. We upgraded the turbo to a 67, 62. We changed from a 44 millimeter wastegate to a VS Racing 50 millimeter wastegate. And the motor is no longer a K20, it is a K24. I mean, it's no longer a K24, it's a K20 now. So with the last motor, I'm gonna start from the last motor to whatever else I changed. So with the last motor that I had in the car, when I bought it from the lady that I bought it from, I guess she had somebody do a head gasket on it before, and they decked the block with a fucking grinder. And on the number 1 cylinder, on the number one cylinder, the deck was leaning. So I put another head gasket on it thinking that I could just band-aid it for a while till I found a new motor. But as I was driving, the car just kept, it slowly overheated. It will stay at like well, it slowly heated up. The temp ended up staying at like 208 on most days. If it was cold outside, it'll stay at like 190. But if you gave it some throttle, it'll just shoot the temp up. So and it felt like shit. And it had nothing to do with the tune. So I sold that motor. I bought I traded some workout for a K20 because my friend had a K20 laying around. So I traded some workout for a K20, and I put that in the car, and it feels totally different from the K24. A lot stronger, a lot throatier. I don't know why K20s are more throatier than K24s, but a whole lot more stronger. So since then, I put the 67, 62. I originally bought a 62, 62 for VS Racing Turbo. It looks identical to the 67, 62. But I ended up selling it to Stumpy because he had a like Chinese, well, I know these turbos are Chinese too, but he had a Chinese ear, like GT35R, which is basically a 62, well, it's like a 61, 62. But it was leaking out the front housing, and it was like a really weak turbo for his setup. So I sold him the 6262, and I bought the 6762 for this car. And I had bought a wastegate, a 44 millimeter wastegate for him, and a 50 millimeter wastegate for me, but they ended up sending me two 50 millimeter wastegates, so I just put 50 millimeter wastegates on both cars. So currently right now the car is on 6 pounds. I think it's making like 350 horsepower, 360 horsepower. It's strong as shit. On this radio right now, it blows it off in second, blows the tire off in second gear, and it like hazes it in third. So normally on like 14 pounds on a 6062, it'll make like 12 pounds, I'm sorry, on a 6062, like the Rev 9 turbos that I was using before, they'll make about the same power. So this thing is like making what I believe to be like 350 horsepower. I'll probably put on the dyno. Probably won't have time to, I'm not sure yet, but it's probably what I'm gonna shoot for. I'm gonna probably shoot for like 500 horsepower on the dyno, and then I'll turn it up at the track. Right now the car is on the 85. We have some Ditchworks 1300s in the car. I've taken the car so far on a 3-hour drive with no problems at all on E85, and I think I've used only like a tank of gas, and that was it. So it was probably like it's got a 10-gallon fuel cell in it. So actually it didn't even use 10 gallons really. It used like 7 gallons, something like that, 6 gallons. So that's pretty good on gas. The only issue I've had with the car so far is the alternator blew out on the second trip that I was making. I made about 45 minutes out, and then I realized that the gauge cluster was doing some weird shit and the alternator just failed. So I have a self-exciting alternator right here that I got modified by a lady that does it in town. She did one for a G35 when I first had started it, and it works pretty awesome. So I'm doing that on this. It eliminates the wiring on the charge harness for the alternator, and I would recommend anybody that does, you know, shit like this to get a self-exciting alternator. It'll make your life a whole lot more easier. So the next changes I'm gonna make to a car is I am going to change back from the innovative mounts to the eBay mounts and the Hasport all-wheel drive T-bracket, because the all-wheel drive mount that Innovative made me does not work with the K20. It only works with the K24. So I don't have time right now before IFO to bring the car back to Innovative for them to redesign the mount. So what I'm going to do is just swap the mounts out temporarily for the other mounts, and then we're just going to run it at IFO and then come back swap the mounts back out. I know it's kind of redundant to just do it, but I just don't have the time to. It'll take me less time to swap the mounts out than it would to drive 5 hours to Charlotte, five hours to and from Charlotte. Well, it's 3 hours there and 3 hours back, but normally I make it there in like 2.5 hours. But the time it takes me to go there, I'd rather spend the 2 hours that it's going to take me to swap the mounts out. Just swap the mounts out and get it done with and get it rolling. I also need to, these mounts move back and forth, and they have it in the forward position right now. Also, I just need to move the motor back because right now it's rubbing on this lower radiator hose and it rubbed a hole in it. So never foresaw that happening when the motor was this far forward. And then when I got the drive shaft measured, I didn't account for me having to push the motor back. But luckily with the drive shaft, I have about 2 inches of forward play with it, so it slides back and forth in between here, just for I guess not so much that you can move the motor back, but when the motor does torque up, that it has some play in it. So once I do move the motor back, it'll probably sit about like right here, and it still has this much room to go back. So that's a good thing. I didn't know it was going to be able to move back before, so I was kind of worried that I measured the drive shaft too long and I would have to get it modified, but I don't. So speaking of drive shaft, it is in, and it is all-wheel drive now. So I have the innovative diff mount kit, which I made a video on how to install, so I'm going to upload it after I upload this video. I have 2 driver side CRV axles in an EG chassis. That's what these trailing arms are made for. I don't know what everybody else is going to have to use for these for this diff mount kit, but I guess whoever's trailing arm you use, you need to contact them and see what axles you need to use. But these are custom made trailing arms. They're just Integra rear discs, and they have been modified. My buddy Framp did this side and this side, but I had to modify this side some because somehow it got offset a little bit. Well, we got all that figured out. We're using 04 to 06 CRV rear hubs, and we pretty much just made just cut 2 cylinders, a cylinder in half, and he measured it and he plated it, and it's all like braced up and shit. I re-braced it because I had to cut it back out and move it back in some because for some reason the wheel was towed inward. So now it's all level and we should be good with that. As far as the fuel system, we got 2 Most Plus fuel pumps, Amazon fuel filters, Amazon fuel line. This is the old, damn, believe it or not, it is the old fuel line out of the G35 when it was on the 85. And like I said before, like I had 0 problems with this car ever since I've done the all-wheel drive stuff. I still need to fix this shit because I'm sure it's gonna rub a hole in it soon. But other than that, pretty much simple setup. S1 shock relocation brackets and BWR coilovers, eBay damn lower control arms, which I'm probably going to swap the bushings out in them because they're like some hard cheap shit, which you expect from eBay. And I know that Derek's car, Milkshake, has these same control arms and his bushings are already blown out. So I know, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do like one all-wheel drive launch and it's probably going to pop the bushing out. I made my own viscous coupler bracket because Innovative, the one that Innovative gave me is for a Wagavan viscous coupler, and since I have a Freelander viscous coupler, I just made my bracket the same way that Frank made his bracket on his Civic. But they do sell viscous coupler brackets for Freelander now, so I just have to go pick mine up. And when I go back to get the rear mount done, I'm going to I can't show a rear mount in this video because it hasn't been released yet, so they're trying not to have anybody knock it off. So when I go back to get the new rear mount done, I'm going to get the viscous coupler bracket also and then install it later on. But I think the only thing I really have left to do is just weld a bottom bracket onto the trailing arm. I need to take the back part of this drive shaft off and pin and weld the viscous coupler, which I'll do in another video. It won't be in this one because I wouldn't have time to. I'm just trying to get this car off the lift and go do some damn launches and see if this damn shit that we did, this backyard shit that we did, holds up. So a lot of people waiting on this thing to damn do some, you know, good shit in the street. So there's supposed to be a couple no prep races in November and IFOs this weekend, so I'll be making a video from that. So I'm trying to get this car ready. I have Stumpy's car ready. Well, it's about ready. He's coming back on Saturday for me to retune it on bigger injectors because he bought some injectors that one of them ended up being stuck. Hopefully I can get this car out there. I was planning on having framed this car out there, but with me having to replace the chassis harness, it doesn't look like it's gonna make it, and the turbo is still not here, which it probably should be here today. I'll check tracking on that. Jason's all motor car should be out there. I'm not sure if he's gonna run because he doesn't have slicks. And I think Daryl's H22 car Milkshake is gonna be out there for sure. Christian's bringing he's bringing the Myth and his all-wheel drive car. And make sure you go and subscribe to his channel. He's probably gonna be doing a whole lot more content here soon than me because he's got more action going on. Oh damn, I know lighting just went to shit. He's got a lot more action going on because he does a lot of street racing, grudge racing. If you just want to see all out racing and some shit talking, go check my man's channel out, support him like he does support me, and make sure you comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next upload.
Don't kill us, there's an 18-wheeler coming, Phil.